What tastes better, a little burnt? Most vegetables. I either want them raw or with some burnt bits. Roasted ears of corn. Tortillas and carne asada. Just a little crispy. Tortillas. Pot stickers, baby. Pepperoni. What consistently leaves you disappointed? But you just keep trying. Growing indoor plants. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Trying to enjoy my free time like I used to. Any competitive multiplayer video game with teammates. Trying to keep in contact with my one-sided friendships. Making non-awkward conversation with strangers. What is a weird fact you know about nuclear bombs? Don't use conditioner in your hair in the wake of nuclear particles. It'll bind the radioactive material to the hair shaft. They were once used to try and create man-made weaponized tsunamis. Project SEAL. https en.wikipedia.org/wiki/tsunami_bomb. The Castle Bravo test ended up being way bigger than the scientists predicted. The video is on YouTube and it's crazy. 1. The first one, or maybe the first two, were referred to simply as the gadget. 2. An underground nuclear bomb test is thought by some to be responsible for the fastest moving man-made object in history. A manhole cover. It was used to cover the hole down which the bomb was lowered. And a high-speed camera was trained on it because there was the expectation that it would bugger off very quickly. The camera captured only one frame with the lid in it post-explosion. Calculations are very rough, but if accurate, the lid far exceeded escape velocity, reaching a speed higher than even any spacecraft or probe yet launched. And if it survived intact, it will right now be whizzing through space at a ridiculous pace. During the Cold War, 32 nuclear weapons were lost due to accidents, 6 of which were never recovered. Edit. I should have added this is for the US alone. No one can solidly determine if or how many the Soviets lost. For a hydrogen bomb, a nuclear bomb is the trigger that sets off the hydrogen bomb. Edit. For those curious, this is a time-lapse of every nuclear bomb since 1945. https www.youtube.com/watch v = LLCF7v Panry. If you were an alien and had nothing to go on but this, you could swear the Soviets and Americans were having a contest over who could irradiate their populations the mostest, the fastest. Movie buffs of Reddit, what are the greatest last 10 minutes of any movie in your opinion? The Hunt for Red October. The Departed. One oh shit moment after another. Say 7N is one that comes to mind. Granted, it may be more like 20 minutes, but that ending still fucks me up. The standoff in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Everything about that scene, from the cinematography, the score, to the tension, is sheer perfection. Edit. Spelling. American History X. The last few minutes really drive home how big a waste a life spent in hate is. It might be the last 20 minutes, but hot fuzz. What is the best thing to do after getting rejected to make it not awkward? Got rejected by my crush 2 days ago and said, well, it never hurts to ask, right? And then I almost threw up in the bathroom from embarrassment. Edit. Thank you so much for the awards and positive comments. Less than 3. Finger guns. Okay, thanks for being honest, all the best. Just be cool about it. Like, oh okay. No problem, and then change the subject or find something else to do. Do the arm wave and start poppin' and lockin' as I see myself out. Skate away like Bart Simpson. What is the most disturbing movie you've watched? Cannibal Holocaust. and the original Last House on the Left are pretty high on my list, but The Girl Next Door really got to me. Almost quit watching it several times, but managed to make it through. Literally made me feel sick. Probably Antichrist. Martyrs. Dear Zachary. A letter to a son about his father. Adding to this, if this documentary doesn't quite finish you off, watch The Trial of Gabriel Fernandez on Netflix after. It's a short series. That should teach you to feel good about anything. Ever. Happiness. I can't even remember what it's called, but when I was like 5 my parents got me this Easter movie. 'Cause they thought it was kid-friendly. It was basically about bunnies, but at one point in the movie there were like thorns and they put the bunnies in a chokehold, and it was so scary as a kid, like WTF, there was literally animated blood. What's the unsolved mystery in your local area? There was a house fire in a Platte SD about an hour from my hometown. Okay. But the whole family died in it: mom, dad, 4 children. At first they thought, what a tragedy, and then they assumed that the dad shot everyone, as there were bullet wounds in each person. Set the house afire. Then killed himself. Cue the news and a very good news anchor investigating the whole thing. She was getting deep into what happened and found out the dad and mom were embezzling money from an organization they were a part of to help Native American education. $1 million embezzled. Then, the police dove into some scattered security camera footage. Small rural town. And saw a vehicle drive to and from the property in the wee hours of the night. Murder-suicide or homicide? Said anchor was getting closer to solving the dang thing, and rumor has it she ended up getting death threats and stopped all coverage. This would only have to be true because she had a special on it often and there was just no closure on why they stopped looking into it. Not a peep about it since. There's a lot to this story and I summed it up the best I could. Maybe should try to find a Crime Junkies episode on it. The disappearance of my 3-year-old cousin back in the 80s. He would be 37 this year. The Delphi Murders. 2 young girls killed by some creep on a walking trail in Delphi, Indiana. They found a clip of video, voice of perpetrator on one of the girls' phones. But no ID yet. A lady was stabbed 27 times while locked in her apartment. The boyfriend was banging on her door for her to let her in while it was happening. She was heard screaming. There were no signs of forced entry or exit. No fingerprints on the knife. No traces of anyone else in the apartment. No nothing. The case was ruled as a suicide but recently opened back up because they skipped over some details. Or something like that. A girl I went to school with went missing in the woods. There's a Crime Watch daily special on it. Molly Miller was her name. I remember when I realized she went missing. I always thought she was really pretty in school. Blue eyes and sleek black hair, and she said hi to me when I was new and just thought that was so sweet. I moved to Texas the next year and happened to see her face on the board at Walmart. I was like, that looks like Molly. Then it was, unfortunately. This was about 10 years ago and no one has heard from her and there is still no answers. The West Mesa Murders. https en.m.wikipedia.org/wiki/west_mesa_murders. In Albuquerque. I don't know if it was a smart murderer or just bad police work, but I would sleep better if someone was caught. Serious. Soldiers or ex-soldiers. Have you ever met an enemy soldier who fought in the same battle as you a few years after it ended? How did you meet and were you able to discuss your experiences with each other? Attention. Serious. Tag notice. Asterisk. Jokes, puns, and off-topic comments are not permitted. https www.reddit.com/r/askreddit/wiki/index #wiki_rule_6- In any comment, parent or child, parent comments that aren't from the target group will be removed, along with their child replies. Report comments that violate these rules. Posts that have few relevant answers within the first hour, and posts that are not appropriate for the serious tag will be removed. Consider doing an AMA request instead. Thanks for your cooperation and enjoy the discussion. I am a bot, and this action was performed automatically. Please contact the moderators of this subreddit. Message, compose to =r@AskReddit if you have any questions or concerns. My grandpa was fond of telling the story of when he met a Japanese sailor in the 1960s. Grandpa was a Navy radioman in the Pacific Theater and had a bad time. He got a Purple Heart for injuries during a kamikaze strike. His captain was actually awarded the Navy Cross for all the crap he and the crew went through. No recognition for the enlisted, which bothered Grandpa till the day he died. Anyway, there he was in New Zealand in the 1960s and a Japanese couple walked into the pub they were in. One thing led to another. They got talking. They were both at the signing of the peace treaty in Tokyo, but both deemed not important enough to actually be involved. So Grandpa was just sitting on his ship watching from a distance. And this Japanese guy was sitting on a tower watching from a distance. Both watching the same thing, and having very different feelings about it. My dad is a Vietnam vet. He worked for the VA as a counselor before finally retiring on military disability due to PTSD. Since retirement, he has worked on organizing trips to Vietnam for vets, their families, therapists, Gold Star families, etc. One day, they were in a small village, having tea with one of the village elders. At one point, a man walked in, about their age, with a missing hand. He made eye contact with my dad's friend, Bob, and froze in his tracks. He pointed at Bob and said, through a translator, You did this," indicating his missing arm. He said he recognized him. Sounds like total BS. Right? He then told them the day and location that he was injured, and the type of weapon that did it. Bob was at that place on that day, and using that kind of weapon. The conversation was jovial. War is hell sort of thing. I fought for my country. You fought for your country. Let's have a drink. My dad's experience traveling around the world, encountering veterans from various times and places, is a sense of mutual respect, almost brotherhood. They've seen and experienced things that civilians haven't, that only other vets can really understand. He found the same thing working for the VA, that the internal struggles that veterans faced were, in some ways, universal. They may have technically served in Vietnam, Korea, Iraq, Afghanistan, Germany, Ukraine, etc., but, really, where they had all ultimately been was through hell and back. My grandfather and his brother fought on opposite sides on the Spanish Civil War. Many years later, his brother was talking about how on his birthday on a certain year he was without food because his enemies blew up their provisions tent. My grandfather was like, "Wait, where was this?" Turns out my grandfather's troop had done it. They laughed about it, but it's kinda terrifying that they were on opposite sides at the same battle and could have easily killed each other. My granddad used to go to a WW2 commemoration in France. Him and a lot of the old boys he fought with made friends with their German counterparts over the years and would meet for a drink together each year. They were basically kids doing what they were told and hated the game, not the players. This doesn't really hit the op, but it's somewhat close, I guess. I am an Afghan refugee who met a Russian soldier in Germany. He approached me for a cig, asked me if I was Afghan and told me his story. Dude apparently had to kill an innocent Afghan shepherd somewhere at the northern border of Afghanistan because his commander thought it was funny to do so. He also told me how he's still haunted by his first kill. He killed some Afghan in a knife fight, face to face. While this sounds very grim and I did feel uneasy around him. He seemed broken and lonely. He even apologized to me for what he did. Seemed sincere doing so, though I told him that I couldn't accept an apology on behalf of someone I don't know. Was an interesting met. Subscribe, my brothers.